The reading for our sermon today is taken from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 6, entitled The Rejection of Jesus at Nazareth. Jesus left that place and came to his hometown, and the disciples followed him. On the Sabbath he began to teach in the synagogue, and many who heard him were astounded. They said, "Where did this man get all this? What is this wisdom that has been given to him? What deeds of power are being done by his hands? Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary, and the brother of James, and Joseph, and Judas, and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us?" And they took offense at him. And Jesus said to them, "Prophets are not without honor except in their hometown, and among their own kin, and in their own house." And Jesus could do no deed of power there, except to lay hands on a few sick people and cure them. And he was amazed at their unbelief. We know that this path presents the possibility of amazing things. The possibility that you can have a real relationship with God. And when I hear the songs that we sang this morning, the energy is, we're praying to God, He leadeth me, I need you, seal my heart, Lord, I want to be in this. There's a lot of hope, and there's a lot of anticipation of when I'm finally going to be there. It's all going to be where I want it to be, and how that experience has to be amazing. And I've noticed that when it comes to things like this, storytelling, we get very excited about what's going to happen and the anticipation of it. And people who tell good stories are able to stir up that excitement that is used in them. They start off, "You're never going to believe this." And all of a sudden we're like, "Oh my God, I got to hear it." You can't imagine what happened next. Like, what is it? We want to know. And somebody who tells a good story can set it up, and we do have that, "Oh my God, I can't believe that's what happened." The reality of this path that we're doing is that I'm utterly convinced that it is going to lead you to the relationship within. And exactly what happens in the rejection of Jesus in the passage is an element that happens to us. That in our hometown, within ourselves, there's unbelief. Is this it? That's the voice? That's it? That's what I heard? You're saying that's the Christ? Oh, okay. Well, it did sound kind of, a little different, but... And Jesus said he could do very little deeds of power in that place because they were offended. It's a very strange phenomenon that you have a culture that has been promised the arrival of a Messiah for hundreds of years. And there's so much anticipation. Really, the entire religion, to a certain degree, is based upon preparation for that. And that we will be liberated as a people. We are the chosen ones who love God and who are living according to the Mosaic precepts and anticipation of the arrival. It's very similar to where we're at with our desire to know God. You could say that you have done all sorts of things to bring you to a place where you can hear the possibility of this, and you go, "Yes, I want that." Because we've had other people in this room, and they hear the same words, but they don't come every week, and they don't practice what we do, because right now it's not meaningful to them in the way that it is to you and to myself. But then it starts to become real. In our Bible class, I say, we're going to go right now. And there's a lot of pressure, because it's not at your own pace and your own timing, and we to a certain degree put you right into that process of going, let's see if we can hear the voice. It's challenging because things are out of our control right now. And I like to hear people sharing, so that there's a pressure to say what happened. And as I shared at our class, well, all I want is the truth. You don't have to be further along or make sure you're hearing it. I know each one of you has heard the Christ since I've met you. And at times we might have that unbelief, that kind of thing, like, well, is that I've been waiting years for that. That's it. That's normal. It's in the Bible. It's in the Gospel. So there is a part of us that maybe our expectation is not being met in the experience. And what ends up happening is that the Christ cannot act in its full power because the human in us goes, I'm offended. Where is this coming from? Is this really it? Isn't this just the voice of my mind? Am I delusional? Who knows whatever it is that we might say in our minds. But it's very typical, especially if you're an intellectual or you're a bright person. You've done well by the use of your mind, by academia, by being intellectual. Okay. So this doesn't make any sense. That there could be a part of you that you've never really experienced, and we are very actively looking to find that part, call it the Christ, wow, and then learn how to receive from that part and essentially follow that part as the new mind, the Christ mind. So we might get, a Bible class where I say, well, let's do that right now. And then one goes, well, there's no way I'm going to be able to do that 24 hours a day, because it's like, just to get to that place seems like a lot of work and a lot of concentration. But I want you to understand that it's not that we're supposed to be in it and following it every waking moment, because first of all, it's not possible. I mean, you haven't developed to a point where you can get there on command every time. I don't believe you're at that level yet. And so, we first of all have to really value the process of getting to that consistent relationship. Now, I know all of you guys have gone through enough schooling to have degrees or advanced degrees, so you know what it takes to get over a certain line where they say, okay, now you have achieved this. You are a master, or you are a PhD, or whatever it is. It's not like 3 weeks after you enroll in school, you go, can I take the test? I think I got it. I mean, it's just, that would be ridiculous. But why, in a sense, why would that seem ridiculous? It seems ridiculous because that's just not how it's done. You can look around and go, it's 3 years, it's 4 years, it's 6 years. I mean, that's just how we do it. When it comes to what we're doing, seeking out the presence of Christ, there's no real frame of reference, because the churches don't do it this way. A lot of the spiritual people don't do it this way. The self-help people aren't really doing it this way. So there's not a lot of validation except, when we get together and we talk about it. So you have to really decide, is this unbelief in me going to win out and actually negate the power within? Or am I going to become so dedicated and so devoted that no matter how long it takes, I am going to reach that consciousness where this part of me is accessible, I believe in it without doubt, and I follow it? That's the question. And if part of you goes like, I don't know if I can, I don't know if I have the ability, I don't know if I have that kind of drive, then that's fair. If that's the honest truth right now, then you just go, right now, what I'm willing to do is meditate every day and try and attend to the problems or my situations in my life, etc. That's okay. What is it that makes a person want this with every fiber of their being? That's a good question. I mean, think about the things that you have wanted with every fiber of your being and go, why did I want that so badly? And I don't have an answer, because it's going to be individualistic to you. You're going to have to go, what is it that motivates me to put that kind of effort in? I can tell you that if there's unbelief, that is a resistance to the effort that's required. So we have to negate or discredit the voice of that disbelief. We understand it's there because this is a weird thing. We're seeking to find the presence of a voice within that we call the God self, and most people you meet will have no idea what that is, or will not, or they'll try to make it, well, you're saying that's the Holy Spirit, or what you're talking about is the higher self, right? And you can feel, and when they say that we're in different camps. Okay. So we're not going to get a lot of validation from outside. We also won't get validation from our minds at times. And they'll give us all sorts of reasoning as to why it's not going to work for me. It might work for other people. It's not that I don't believe it. I just don't think I'm ever going to get there. Or, fill in your own gap of what it is. Instead, what we have to cultivate is, how can I want this with every fiber of my being? And I backtrack, well, what actually do I want with every fiber of my being? I think there's two real simple ones that we can start with. Love is one, and purpose is another. I want my life to be filled with love. Well, the secret is you give as much love as you can, because then the karmic rule is that you will draw love to you. As opposed to, an idea which is, how can I get as much love for myself? Well, give as much love as you can. Give more than you think you can, but also you have to honor that you don't want to be giving out of obligation, you don't want to be giving out of fear, you don't want to be giving out of a sense of a pressure that's not coming from a desire to care. So you got to monitor that piece. You want to give where it flows freely from you. Forgive. You want to forgive those who don't receive your love, who don't necessarily want you as part of their life, who accuse you of things that you've tried to apologize for, whatever it is. We cultivate love for the Christ within. And that's one of the hardest things, because it's so mysterious. So how do you love something that you're just getting to know? You make time to try to connect and hear. And you absolutely believe that that part of you wants to be in your life. I mean, that part isn't that hard. You just choose to believe, right? Believe will lead to the work, to the experience. The experience means I know. It's hard to go from knowing back to believing. Because once you know something, you go, well, that's beyond believing. I know it. And what you realize is, when the truth starts to come out, it puts pressure against the way that we've chosen to live. And so coming into accord with God means we have to choose to let go, or we have to do other things, or we have to surrender, or we have to, whatever it is. And people don't particularly like that. People don't like being told that they should do something different than what they want to do. So we want to do what God wants us to do, and that God is within us. And the initial discomfort of doing it will be replaced with the joy of having been liberated from it. And there's the passage when Jesus talks about when a woman is giving birth, she's suffering tremendously, but then seconds after, when she's holding the child, she forgets the suffering because, oh my God, here is a creature that was living inside of me and is now mine to love. And so we want to focus to a certain degree and understanding that delayed gratification that's coming. And not allow the disbelief to weaken our resolve. And if we weaken our resolve, we're going to elongate this process. And I know you guys want to get there sooner than later. And you could say, well, I've already been there, and then I've slipped back and say, I want to get back there again. And this is the hard thing for us achievers, is that we can't predict. We can't just go in and make sure we're going to get there, because you could have 3-4 months of great meditation, and then all of a sudden it's like, I can't focus, I get scattered, there's too much activity going on. And so we go, I sit for my 20 or 30 minutes, and that's it. If it was not a fruitful meditation, I move on. I got things I got to do. But that perseverance and that persistence and that unwillingness to entertain the voice of unbelief, that forms an intense resolve within. And that experience has to be given to you then. It has to. It's the law, essentially. It's the law of cause and effect, right? The effect that we want is a consistent relationship. The cause, you could say, the energy and the effort that I put into it, that sets in motion the delivery of the effect, the consistent relationship.